Alright guys, welcome back. GM Light here, and today we're talking about people that are offended by horror movies. It's a discussion that I think is really interesting because there's a level of an imposition of sensibilities that some people have when it comes to horror movies and the people who watch them. The idea that if you watch horror movies, you're a sick individual, you're weird, stuff like that. And something that kind of sparked it was this more recent, but I'm a little late to the party, kind of post that's circulating around about Terrifier 3. If you haven't seen the post, it reads as this. Okay, so I just saw the teaser for Terrifier 3, and if it is what I think it is, you're disgusting for wanting to watch it. I'm not saying this because I'm sensitive, no. Terrifier is just known for being gory and violent, which I have no problem with since I've watched both movies. However, in this teaser, it fucking hints at a child being slaughtered. Listen, you can effectively make children in your form of art or Smith experience hardship or even die, but the Terrifier movies are meant to just be gore for gore. There's no purpose other than being gory, and I'm gonna reiterate, I have no problem if you like gore. However, if you're watching this movie, knowing damn well a child may get tortured and killed violently, please block me. With this specific example, I don't really think they're gonna do anything like that. Damien Leone has a good sense of what the audience thinks is fun and what's too far. He likes to push boundaries and kind of be provocative in that way. You could tell he really enjoys some of the controversy that comes along with this franchise. And how could he not? It's all in good fun. But I think a drawn out scene like the one in Terrifier 2 of a kid, I don't think that most people would really enjoy it that much. There's definitely a balance when it comes to stuff like this, but my main concern is kind of just this idea that people who are offended think that their sensibilities should be imposed on everybody else and their sensitivities. Because I get it, there's a lot of stuff that a lot of other people don't like to watch, and that's perfectly fine. I know a lot of people who don't like the Terrifier movies, they don't like the Saw movies, they don't like to watch the shit that I like to watch, and I get it. I don't have a problem with it. I don't think that they're being sensitive or being pansies or whatever because they don't like the same stuff that I like, or that they have kind of a line that they cross, that they just don't want to watch stuff like that. But the idea of people saying that other people shouldn't be enjoying this, or that other people shouldn't be allowed to enjoy horror movies that are shocking or provocative or challenging, which they're supposed to elicit a reaction out of you and kind of give you that boost of adrenaline, that makes the movie exciting to watch in the first place. Otherwise, why watch a horror movie if you're just going to be bored by it? And I pretty much have the same stance on comedy. If you think that something is funny as long as it doesn't offend you, well then you're just being a baby and you're imposing your sensibilities on everybody else. If you could dish it, you got to be able to take it. It's the same thing with horror movies. If you don't like it, that's fine with you, but don't impose your personal sensibilities on everybody else. That's not their problem, it's your problem. And it's something that's really annoying because this is actually a pretty well circulated post. Obviously a lot of people were clowning on this guy, as they kind of should, because what he said was just ridiculous. And if this pushes things too far, which again I don't think it's going to be what he describes it to be, and he feels alienated, that's fine. But it's just this idea that you have to rain on everybody else's parade, tell people what they can and can't watch and how they should feel about things. Screw that. It's just another thing of everybody has their own kind of gauge, they have their own limits, and that's perfectly fine. And that's something that I think most normal people in the real world understand. But you get these terminally online takes on Twitter especially that are just totally brain dead. Because why the hell should I be offended just because you're offended? And yeah, they had kind of similar stuff to what he's talking about in All Hallows Eve, which at this point is, I think, being marketed as Terrifier Begins or something. I think they're trying to retitle it to get more money out of it. But it's done off screen and you have that reveal, which is pretty shocking. But I think that strikes the balance in a way where it's shocking, it's horrific, but it's also just, it's not tasteless. I think some of the best horror movies are things that push boundaries in a shocking way, because if they weren't doing anything interesting, if they weren't doing anything new or shocking, they really wouldn't be of note as a horror movie. I think that's where a lot of PG-13 horror movies fail, is that if they don't have something really interesting at their core, or something that in concept is truly frightening, it's easy for them to just kind of be nothing more than crappy horror movies that don't leave much of an impression because they don't do anything interesting or challenging. You're a little bit relegated to that when you're dealing with a younger audience. You do have to cater a little bit to that rating, and you can't push things too far because you do have to dial it back a bit and make sure that it goes under that limbo of a PG-13 rating. That's also why it's such a hard balance to strike with a PG-13 horror movie. There's plenty of great ones, but they often fail more than they don't. And they also too have the idea that, you know, teenagers will show up, so they don't feel like they have to make much of an effort because they know they will recoup their returns. But again, if there's nothing interesting at the core, if you're not doing anything that actually pushes boundaries, if you're not trying to create art in a way where, especially in horror, you're trying to get to people, I really don't see what the point is. I'd say for the most part, especially obviously from my side of community, horror movie fans and stuff, nobody was buying this take, nobody was feeling the same way as this guy. But I think that this is something that's a lot more normalized than we think outside of our space. You know, people trying to blame movies on violence, stuff like that, thinking that certain things should be banned or off the table. A lot of parents that think that because their kid can't watch Terrifier 2, it shouldn't exist at all, which is just absolutely nuts. But that's pretty much my take. Love to hear what you guys think in the comment section. I'd love to hear. I'm GM Light. Have a good one.